Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time.
Hello, Kelly.
Hello, Andrea. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's nighttime here,
Yes.
so I'm just enjoying the beautiful weather, long sleeve shirt here, in Florida. Sorry for the dark, but I just love to be outside, so I'm always out.
And it's nice, actually. I was going to say good evening because I always say good morning, but it is a later show for us today, which we're just going with the flow, which feels good, but it's kind of cool to mix it up a little bit.
I like it.
Later in the evening, and so much more news you were able to catch up on too today since we made it a little bit later. So
this worked out really, really well.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll dive in a minute, but we wanted to clean up and do some housekeeping items at the very, very beginning. And first and foremost is we have our class this coming Saturday. It is the class on crypto basics. So take a peek at it. It's on our website. We'd love to have you join us. It can be a great refresher for anybody who thinks they know what's going on. I have gone through it myself, and I think it's always nice to kind of hear a reiteration. But if you're brand new to kind of the whole concept of cryptocurrencies, it's a great way to kind of put your toe in the pond. So
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to make changes to the platform. We've got some beautiful little red boxes around us now. But we wanted to give a great shout out to our sponsors because they've been so kind to work in partnership with us, and we want to honor them as well. So we are working closely with the Above Phone. We're an affiliate of theirs, and all of this information is available on our website, so please check it out. But we're also working with Computer Diva and Markley Mobile Services. So we want to kind of give a shout out specifically to both Computer Diva and Markley in regards to their sponsorship. So I am going to speak specifically to Computer Diva because I've been working with Mary for a long time. I'm sure many of you have heard me speak of Mary in general, and we've spoken of the sponsorship, of course, here. But I'm just going to kind of fill you in for a few things because many people have gaping holes in their computer security, and they're not even aware of them. And that leaves them vulnerable to cyber attacks. And this is the service that Mary, really works on providing. So it's like, is your data protected? So Computer Diva makes your answer a confident yes with DivaCare. It's a monthly protection plan for your PC or Mac. So you get peace of mind with antivirus software, a weekly tune-up, and 24/7 monitoring and more. And you can call Mary at Computer Diva at 360-567-8838. And you can also find her online at computerdiva.biz. So check her out. Highly, highly, highly recommend her services.
Yep, she definitely helped me and Rowan out of a jam. And again, I think even with Markley Services, our other sponsor, it's just, everything is changing. And now we're able to get, notaries online. So, no more we don't have to get into our car, go to the bank or find a corporate office to get our notary done. We could do it from the comfort, of our own home. And, Jeannie's just absolutely fabulous. So if you live anywhere in the United States, definitely check out Markley Mobile. And we'll be keeping everybody posted next week. We have some big surprises for our sponsors. So we're super psyched. We're super psyched. Yep.
Absolutely are. So thank you to those. I know they're leaning in and listening to us. So we are so very, very grateful. All right. Shall we dive into the news and what's out there going on in the world?
Yeah, definitely. So, and just to kind of touch base real quick too with our intro to blockchain, because, I've gotten some questions and feedback from the community, and they're like, we're already digital, right, Kel? Like our money is already digital. So like, what's the difference between like the blockchain technology and let's just say we use like Venmo? So like when we use Venmo, that's a centralized app that has one point of failure. And we're also sending that money through third-party intermediaries, which are taking fees. So blockchain actually doesn't use any third-party intermediaries. So it's more for like peer-to-peer transactions. And since it's decentralized, there's not just one point of failure. So I think like, and again, like taking the intro to crypto class, it's such a good entry into obtaining some of this knowledge, like as we move to the future of finance, which is being, it's being built on blockchain. Yeah. So yeah, and part of like how I know this and something like, we were kind of like giggling about, but like, kind of like the name of our podcast tonight is like, do you want an NFT with your latte?
Which I thought was super cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So Starbucks actually partnered with Polygon. So the token is called Matic, and it's Starbucks Odyssey to actually bring like Web 3.0 experience into, your immersive coffee experience, I guess is a good word for it.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and and it's kind of funny too, because like, so I did like an intro to crypto, and then like the part 2 of the class is actually all based on like web technology, like Web 3.0. And part of what we cover is non-fungible tokens, right? So if we think about, non-fungible tokens being used for loyalty programs. So when you go to Starbucks, you're actually going to be able to get like a collectible like sticker, and it's an NFT that's minted on Matic, which is, which again, it's just like, it's more adoption, right? And
right,
it's
exactly.
Yeah. So to see such a big company like Starbucks, like people are super excited, like in the crypto world for sure.
It'll be really interesting. And again, we are proponents of the Polygon and Matic ecosystem. So just so you know, again, none of this is financial advice, but it's projects to lean into as we mention them as you go along. So yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's so good to see adoption like taking place. Like this is like a real use case. So like as every company changes their loyalty program to the blockchain, as it gets like tokenized, where you're in control of how you want to use, whether it's your NFT from Starbucks or your airline rewards tokens, you're going to be able to do this now through the blockchain. So yeah, it's definitely really exciting. It's really exciting. Yeah. What else is exciting, Kelly?
There's a lot. What? Tell me.
All right. So as like so much FUD is going on with Congress, like all these bills and legislation, the executive order gets signed, like all of these things are happening. Meanwhile, we got Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Citadel Securities. They launched a crypto exchange.
I did not know this.
Right.
I did not know this piece of news.
Yep. So this is kind of like, it's like hot off the presses, just was released. They named the exchange EDX Markets, and we included the link down below. And again, it's just like adoption is coming. We talk about different use cases and different ways blockchain is being adopted. And this is a huge use case. These 3 companies formed a trio to create a cryptocurrency exchange where you can exchange your Bitcoin and digital assets. Like this is huge news. Huge.
It's really good news. Anytime you have big names like that coming in, I mean, you've been hearing big names along the way, Fidelity, as you mentioned here, of course, but BlackRock and all those other folks and JP Morgan, yada, yada. But when you see this again, Fidelity, that's really, really big news. Big news.
Big news, big news. So, it's just an indicator of like our financial system is changing, and it's going to be based on technology, especially with the blockchain, right? So it is more secure. We need more decentralization so the hacks slow down like substantially to like zero. So this is what we need, for sure, especially if we're going to go into a digital economy, which is what the powers of be is like steering the ship. We're going down this road. We do need to make sure it's secure for our finances, for our identity, for our medical records, all the way down to like loyalty rewards, programs for some of these businesses. It all needs to be protected.
Well, absolutely. Just and on that note, I got 2 notifications within the last 3 weeks of having my information hacked from various companies. So it is really important to get this all dialed in.
Yeah.
Whatever complex that is.
Yeah. So we definitely want to, we keep watching this, but again, it's like when I see news get released like this, like I get super, super excited.
Yeah. No, that's good news for sure. Awesome.
So before we get into like Gary goes to Congress, I've been talking about this with Kelly for probably about 2 weeks about what was it? Like, I think it was August 23rd, Pope Francis said by like October 1st, he had a deadline for all of the Vatican's money for all the Holy See offices to bring all of the assets back to the Vatican under one bank, under one governance of supervision.
Yeah, that's huge. We've been talking about this for a while. It's big. It's a big deal. But go ahead. I know where you're going, but it's a really big deal. People that are just leaning in, that's a really big deal.
Well, it was just interesting, like why the October 1st deadline? There's so much, uncertainty like going on in the market right now and instability that's going on in the world. So Kelly and I were kind of like, why would they do this? And again, the Vatican has been known to be scandalous. Like I had no idea until I started researching the Vatican, which I've never done before.
Oh, wow. Well, check out the City of London, which you probably did. Not London, but the City of London. We could do a podcast just on that. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah. So with the City of London, I think they were in some sort of like housing scandal, and it was what, like $530 million.
They're millionaires.
Yeah. So the fact that they're bringing their money in, we were kind of like, okay, we're going to keep an eye on this. There's nothing we can really do about it. But then like, it was like, 2 weeks later, Rosie Rios goes to the Vitae Summit and meets with Pope Francis for 2 days.
Yes. Now, for those of you out there that are tuning in that may not know this, you need to explain Rosie Rios and who she is and her affiliations, if you.
Okay. So Rosie Rios was the 43rd treasurer of the United States government. If you look at your dollar bills, she has literally signed more money than any other treasurer. And she joined the board of directors at Ripple a couple years ago. And again, like she's meeting with the Pope, and it's all about like merging their platforms together. Like her tweet was like, what is this all about? Total like speculation, but it's kind of like, I like talking about some fun news, and it kind of just makes you think. Like 2 days, she was like leaning over, like talking to the Pope. And I said to Kelly, I was like, do you think she's like handing him like an XRP coin?
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it is that they're doing. But I mean, I guess we kind of know it's about creating this an event to elevate the global spirituality.
Yeah.
So that's what the event was marketed as or presented as. But it's just always curious when you get leaders like that together, what their agendas are.
Yeah, totally. It looked like they had like big famous singers from all over the world. Like Andrea Bocelli was there. Like, it was probably like a super cool experience. But
yeah, a lot of artists. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was fun and kind of fun and noteworthy to mention. We have all these things going on, and there's Rosie like meeting with Pope Francis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So meanwhile, since we're doing the podcast tonight, I had an opportunity to listen to the congressional hearing today with the SEC. So Gary Gensler was there. And, basically he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. He believes that most digital assets are securities, that they need to go under the regulatory framework, go in and meet with the SEC and work something out. But at the same time, Gary never shares what the regulatory framework is for these digital assets. So it is impossible for any of these like cryptos to comply right now with the SEC because they don't know what the guidelines are.
Right. Shooting in the dark.
Yeah. So it just seems like he's having like a power play. He created a division at the SEC to add more cryptocurrency staff. So it's like he wants to create this whole division that's going to oversee securities. So that's definitely like concerning. But at the same time, what I found out a little bit later on is there's an attorney, Lily Tesler, and she's from Sidley Law Firm. And I guess the Chamber of Commerce went to her and they filed an amici brief to let the judge for the Ripple SEC lawsuit case, to let the judge know, listen, like your decision is so important. Like we don't have regulatory clarity. There's no legislation. This hasn't, it's just being discussed in Congress. There's no law around cryptocurrency. So the decision of this SEC XRP case is so important, kind of like to provide a roadmap for the future of digital assets.
Interesting. And do we think that we might still be looking at I guess I should ask that more pointedly. Do we have an idea of when we think there could be resolution? Like November, I think has been talked about countless times.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because really we don't know, right? Like all we can do is speculate, but we're definitely at the end of the lawsuit,
yeah.
Right? So this is good news. Discovery is over. We're in summary judgment. They're going over, everything. So I'm hoping that, by November, that's going to be my guess because we're in the middle of September now, all of October. There's a lot of talk that there's probably going to be a settlement because we still have the SEC. They never released those 64 Bill Hinman emails that Judge Torres and Netburn have been asking for almost like over a year and a half now, probably. They're never going to give the judge the email. So everyone thinks we're going to wind up being in settlement. So that can happen tomorrow, but it can happen in November. It can happen in December, and we're following the case and we'll keep everybody posted. But in the meantime, we're seeing all of this adoption happen.
Yeah, I've never heard of the term amici brief, so that'll be some of my homework to understand exactly what that is.
It's just like a legal document of like a summary. They kind of like, they put their 2 cents in to be like, hey, you really need to think about this. Because this to all of us that are in crypto, like this is the biggest cryptocurrency lawsuit case in history. And Kelly and I always talk about it. Like if XRP gets declared, a virtual currency, a stable coin, a utility, whatever they declare it as, like that's going to set precedent for all the other coins. And not only will that set precedent, but XRP will be like the most looked at cryptocurrency in the United States, which will really open it up for companies and institutions for mass adoption.
Yeah, undoubtedly. It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. And that's kind of when I see like banks and more institutions and just more adoption will be happening. But every year, like Ripple does like a Swell conference, like, you know, like the Bitcoin conference, Ripple's is called Swell. It's being held in London this year in November. So they usually at these conferences announce something really, really big.
London's just a happening place right now. That's interesting that we're having it in London, and Rosie was just in London. Huh.
Yeah, there's just there's a lot, you know, and there's a lot going on in the UK too, because right, I mean, we know Russia cut them off of their gas supply, so if they don't reverse it, you know, we're looking at again like an energy crisis in the UK. You know, Ripple basically was like one of the first people to join the Digital Pound Foundation. So these are just things that we want to watch because, and we always say this, as one system falls, the next system's going to be implemented. And, you know, and we're going to see if they're going to use the XRP ledger, you know, with Bank of England and just with their CBDC. We'll watch and see, you know, how this moves forward. But they've been in there for a really long time working with these folks and with the government.
Interesting.
I know, it's so interesting, you know? It's like, when is this all going to happen?
Yeah.
We just need patience.
We do. Just waiting for the fireworks show, that's all.
Yeah, yeah. Because the other thing is that really kind of led me to believe we definitely need some patience is, so Senator Lummis spoke at the hearing today as well, and she said that they've been meeting with Gary Gensler, and Gary's been giving like a lot of input into this Loomis Gillibrand bill, and they're going to reintroduce it into Congress in January, which is basically what we said. We think like this bill's not going to be adopted until 2023. Like maybe we'll get like a stable coin bill signed by the end of the year, but whenever we're going through Congress and we're signing bills into law, it takes a really long time. Like, you know, and it should take a long time, and everybody's collaborating still and giving their input. So like the question that I've been having all day is like, are most of these tokens securities, commodities, or are they going to create like an entirely different asset class where digital assets fall underneath? Because if you take XRP and the way that the SEC is looking at XRP, it says it fails the Howey test. And the Howey test is like this really old test that was designed back in the 1930s with like an orange orchard grove, right? So you can't convert an orange into an apple, but you can convert XRP to Bitcoin. You can convert XRP into any other asset. So it is not a security. And that kind of leads me to believe that, well, you can convert all the other digital assets into other digital assets. So how are any of these digital assets securities? To me, they're commodities.
Right, which would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Purely from the aesthetics of understanding the market, it just makes perfect sense.
Right, right. And then there was a banking hearing today that Danielle Dixon, who's the CEO of Stellar, and she spoke about how she believes XLM, which is the token of Stellar, is a stable coin. So if Stellar gets defined as a stable coin, so will XRP. And that doesn't mean it's $1. It just means it's stable in price. It could be $100. It could be $1,000. So this is something we're definitely going to keep an eye out. But she did a great job at that hearing as well. So, you know, we definitely have some super smart people. And again, the one, when I listened to the congressional hearing with the SEC, like the only person that really like challenged Gary was Senator Toomey.
Yes, absolutely. That was pretty amazing. I'm sure we'll share that link in the notes as well, but go ahead.
So that link, so again, we have like our own little group for 2 women in crypto. So I had posted what Senator Toomey said last month, and he was talking about Voyager and Celsius. Like, where was the SEC? Like, yeah. and we've talked about this as well. Like, the SEC went after BlockFi. They paid a fine. They were going after Celsius. They were going after Voyager, and yet they over leveraged with 3 Arrows Capital, a hedge fund, which made them illiquid, and it hurt investors. Where was the SEC protecting the investors of Celsius and Voyager? They didn't do their job. They didn't do their job. They're centralized entities. These aren't decentralized companies. They're centralized companies that take our money, give us interest, and lend our money out through a centralized, platform. So again, the SEC failed.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and all Gary does is say how well it's been, they've been protecting us for all these years. So all cryptocurrency should fall under the SEC. And I just don't think there's too many people that agree with that anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting, of course, XRP and XLM are both part of the ISO 222 platforms, just again for those that are tuning in to bits and pieces of those. So I would highly encourage you to do some research and take a look at those projects as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because something again, Kelly and I talk about, what's going to be adopted this year into 2023, it's cross-border payments. We heard Janet Yellen talk about this. Jerome Powell just announced the Fed app. We have SWIFT going live in November with the ISO 222 standard. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about
2023 isn't that far away. I mean, we're right there, guys. The time is moving very, very quickly.
Yeah, and the time right now with so much uncertainty and instability, being in a bear market, it's time to dollar cost average, not financial advice, but we're just telling you what we do, and we dollar cost average into these tokens. And because once they go live and once the adoption happens, then we're going to be oh, remember when XRP was 30 cents and was in a lawsuit for 2 years with the SEC, and now it's $10 or $20 or whatever it's going to be, So
that's where patience comes in.
Yeah, so much patience. And again, just kind of really going back to with Senator Toomey, appreciating, he's asking Gary Gensler, why is Bitcoin a commodity? And then Gary kind of fumbles a little bit, and he's it's not there's no central institution. There's no one institution that oversees Bitcoin, making Bitcoin decentralized. So why is that different from other digital assets? And Gary Gensler couldn't answer the question.
Yeah. I mean, truth is what it is, right?
I mean, and that's the truth. And even if some of these tokens started off more centralized, as more nodes, became into existence and the network grew, the ecosystem grew, it becomes more and more decentralized. So a company like Cardano or Ripple or with these tokens maybe started off being more centralized, but now they're decentralized. And in that bill, Lummis and Gillibrand call them ancillary assets. They start off centralized and they go to decentralization. That's not a security.
Right.
Something different. It's something different. So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about everything, but again, who knows how much we can trust the government with what they're saying. We just don't know. Right.
No, we don't know, but at least we're, trying to explore and leaning into what is true for us. And maybe my resonance may be different than Andrea's. It's not to say that we're all right there. It's just the fact that we're at least leaning into what's happening. And that's what's really important.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you know, we had Biden signed an executive order that kind of like oversaw, like, you know, to look at like the effects that you know, digital assets will have like on climate and energy usage. And on page 7 of that document, like I was listening to Charles Hodgkinson of Cardano, and he kind of calls out the government, right, saying they're leaning towards proof of stake is energy efficient, not proof of work. Bitcoin is proof of work. So even though Bitcoin is the most decentralized and the best security in terms of like having a blockchain being built to date, that's not good. That's like no bueno zone. It uses too much energy. And at the same time, I think about BlackRock, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, we got KPMG, right? I mean, all of these companies are going to be listing and opening up Bitcoin on their exchanges to institutional investors. So I don't necessarily agree with Charles, but at the same time, he makes a really, really good point. Like, we need to band together, because like all the Bitcoin maxis, they're going after all the proof of stake, you know, saying that, you know, that's no good. You know, it's not a good blockchain. Only proof of work works. And then we have like Chris Larson, who's a part of Ripple, who's saying Bitcoin needs to change to proof of stake because it's not energy efficient.
Well, I appreciate anybody's diverse opinion, because it makes the conversation broader. So I can appreciate when Charles gets a little heated under the collar and starts bringing this information up. He's a joy for me to watch, because he's a super intelligent guy, and I love to hear him speak of what it is that, you know, from his seat, and lean into it from there. So.
Well, and he made such a good point, right? Like, they're not going to ban Bitcoin, but what if they regulate it out of existence because of all of this ESG standards that's coming down the pike? And then the flip side of that is all proof of stake. Well, that's all security. So everything gets centralized.
Yeah.
So this isn't really where we want to see the future of finance move into. So
no, it's not. We're still very much in that wild, wild west. So it's a good thing that these conversations are taking place. They've got to be challenges. Things have to be challenged.
Yeah, yeah. And he's, you know, again, I just appreciate his thinking, because it's something that we need to sit with. And again, it's something that we need to watch, because the more we put pressure on our Congress, on our House of Representatives, we let these people know that we're watching them. Because, you know, the future of finance is on blockchain, and we don't want it all centralized, because all it will be is an extension of our current financial system, which is highly corrupt. And that's just the bottom line. You know, like, we're weaponizing everything, we control everything, and you have a few controlling all of these crypto assets, all of the money, all of the platforms. That's not what we want to see.
No. Lots of wars, quote unquote, going on all levels. So
absolutely. And that's part of it, right, Kel? Like, we are in a technology war, we're in a currency war, you know,
food war, health. I mean, we're in all of it. There's not one subject matter really that you can bring in today's world, political or not, that isn't, there's this strife going on. So it's definitely out there.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to add that little, I think it's like 12 minutes. Everyone can listen to Charles Hodgkinson talk. And, you know, he'll tell you how he feels about the government.
Oh, he will. Lots of people are these days. More power to it. Go for it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, you know, with that said, you know, the Ethereum merge is 100% complete. It was successful.
No issues at all.
What's that?
No issues at all.
No issues at all. And we saw the price kind of stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, it's kind of like times like this, like, when we're in a bear market, no matter how much good news, how much adoption happens, the price usually stays stagnant. And then when we come out of this, when we come out of this bear market, all the news pumps the prices constantly.
Yeah, I was actually glad to see that the market didn't react. I was hoping that it wouldn't, because it just creates more volatility to the environment that is just destabilizing, actually, more so. So I'm glad that it stayed in a neutral space.
Absolutely. And and the more I think too, right, Kel? So the more people stake their ETH and lock up their ETH, it's supply and demand.
Right.
So that will affect the price. Like once all the ETH gets staked and locked up, then there's a really good chance like we're going to see some pretty high numbers for Ethereum, especially in the new bull cycle, which again, even if we went sideways, and I hope we don't, for all of 2023, right. So once the Bitcoin halving happens, like history has shown us that we go right back into a bull cycle, and that's when we'll see like all the coins take off.
And that's in 2024, the Bitcoin halving.
Right. Sorry. Yep. 2024. And in the meantime, we can always see like a mini bull cycle, which I believe I still believe that's going to happen at some point. There's just too much adoption. And, with the lawsuits definitely going to be wrapping up, the library SEC case is going to be wrapping up. So really important regulation. We're going to have legislation. These are all big macro factors that are going to affect the price of most of the crypto market, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, just got to hold on, folks. Got to hold on.
I know it's going to be bumpy. But it's just like every time the market corrects, we just buy a little bit. I've been working with the community, getting everyone's coins offline, get them to your hardware wallet and stake it on the blockchain.
Dollar cost average in, and when you're ready, you can dollar cost average out.
That's it. And in the meantime, why not earn passive income on Cardano, Polkadot, some of these other tokens that we can stake safely on the blockchain?
That decentralized.
That's right.
Decentralized fashion, not through, no offense to Binance or anybody else, but instead of staking them there, you can do it in an alternative way.
That's right. Yeah. So this has been a great week. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, the news is overwhelming. It's hard to keep track on top of everything, but we're doing the best we can to bring you the news, and it's so much fun. And again, like everyone who's here, who's listening to this video, you're right on time. You're right on time.
Absolutely. So yeah. It's amazing.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
All right. So that's all I got for this week, Cal. So what do you think?
Well, I think we encourage everybody to check out our newest release from the HODLRS. So you can go to the hodlrs.net, but you can check it out on our YouTube channel, because there's a new song out there that's called Adopt XRP. I think we should just give a quick shout out to working with the HODLRS on this front and to your amazing video editing skills. And we're just excited to continue to, push positive, fun things out there.
That's right. Yep. Check out our song. It's so much fun. And again, like I've been learning so many new things, and the next song, it's epic. It's absolutely epic. So stay tuned. We're bringing two women in crypto up a notch. So It's happening.
So until next time, we hope to see you perchance on this coming Saturday's class. But until next time,
HODL on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomeninCrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, HODL on.